football, basketball, and baseball. His true childhood passion, however, was always the great outdoors. From an early age, he had a near insatiable appetite for camping, hunting, and fishing. Very often he would disappear into the woods behind his house, pitch a tent by his favorite fishing hole, and remain out there for days before returning home to show off his latest catch. Life in the Moore household revolved around three tenets: hard work, loyalty to the family, and devotion to the Catholic faith. The elder Moore was a strict, yet very loving father, Victorian in his principles, yet simple in his tastes. Every morning he would rise early to attend the 6 a.m. Mass at the Basilica of St. Joseph. And although he never finished high school, Harold Sr. was among the most respected insurance agents in western Kentucky. Mary was a homemaker and, by all accounts, the emotional bedrock of the family. She was a Methodist, but agreed to raise the children Catholic. Yet Harold and Mary's denominational differences never bothered them once. In fact, as Hal recalled, his mother was more Catholic in some of her ways, and she would go to church and light candles for our family all of her life. Throughout the Great Depression, the Moores fared better than most, for even during the hardest of economic times, Hal remembered that my father had good work, and we always had plenty to eat. Hal and his siblings also took part-time jobs within the community. I cut grass for a number of people, I caddied at the local golf course, and I worked Saturdays as a clerk at the local grocery store. And from an early age, the young Moore possessed a remarkable fascination with all things military. Indeed, when he wasn't riding his bicycle, casting lines at the local fishing hole, or taking care of his younger siblings, Betty, Bill, and Ballard, Moore could be found at the Bardstown Public Library, devouring any book he could find on military history. He particularly enjoyed reading about the great battlefield commanders of the American Revolution and the Civil War. From George Washington to Winfield Scott, these men embodied the same values which Moore sought to maintain in his own life. And by the dawn of his teenage years, Hal knew that he had found his calling. Aware of his son's enthusiasm for the military, Harold Sr. approached him with a suggestion that he apply to the United States Military Academy at West Point. It was 1937, and Hal was then a sophomore at St. Joseph's Preparatory School in Bardstown. The younger Moore was fascinated by West Point's legacy of leadership. Its graduates included many of the heroic leaders whom he had read about at the local library, including Ulysses S. Grant, Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and John J. Pershing. Since its founding in 1802, West Point had been the nation's premier military academy and the primary source of commissioned officers for the U.S. Army. A rock-bound citadel ensconced on the banks of the Hudson River, West Point lay some 50 miles north of New York City. The school was renowned for its uncompromising standards of honor and discipline, and the Gothic architecture of the campus complemented its reputation as one of the most rigorous schools in America. Gaining admission to West Point, however, was no easy task. The applicant files read like a virtual who's who of America's best young scholars. Valedictorians, National Merit Scholars, and Eagle Scouts were among the many who sought to join the long gray line. Admission to the academy was further restricted by a congressional nomination process. A prospective cadet first had to obtain a nomination from his congressman or senator to be considered for admission. Moore certainly had the academic credentials, but he knew that his chances of receiving a nomination from the backwoods of Kentucky were slim to none. Opportunity knocked, however, on the afternoon of February 12, 1940. A 17-year-old Hal Moore was lying bedridden with pneumonia when his father came home with exciting news. Coming into the bedroom where Mary was tending to her ill son, the elder Moore wasted no time. Hal recalled that the local representative of U.S. Senator A.B. Happy Chandler had informed Dad that the senator had a patronage job opening in the Senate Book Warehouse in Washington, and it was mine if I wanted it. The pay was a mere $30 per week, $485.71 in 2012 dollars. But to a 17-year-old boy in 1940 it was an enviable sum. His father needed an answer immediately, and if Hal accepted the job, he would be on the next train to Washington, D.C. Hal realized that this may have been his only chance to gain an appointment. However, he still needed to finish high school. He was currently in his last semester at St. Joseph's and only a few credits shy of graduation. But Moore's father, always one step ahead, had already spoken to the school's principal.